Hello and welcome to today's review of the Transformers Studio Series 86 Commander Class Ultra Magnus. And just kicking this off, he's looking brilliant, he's all decked out in red, white and blue. Nice paint detailing pretty much across the whole figure. I can't say there's tons of paint, but we got this kind of face section. It's like this pearlescent grey or white. It's got some nice light piping in the back of the head. Let's see if we can get that on camera. Kind of show it off, because last time we had light piping, I don't remember it being all too good. There you go. You can see his nice kind of turquoisey, maybe really light blue eyes. It's quite cool. Generally, I'm just kind of very happy with the figure overall, like in terms of aesthetics and stuff. I don't want to kind of speak too much about rankings or whatever, but this is definitely kind of top level in terms of what it's supposed to be, based on a character and design and stuff. Now, just a general look at what he is. He's a chunky boy. He comes with 2 guns. Here we go. Now, I'm not sure about too much of this, but it could be like molded in clear plastic, because as you can see, this tab is clear and the rest of the gun is painted, but the handle's white. So I'm kind of not sure quite how this has been put together. The gun on his back, as you can see, there's a rectangular port here. Either of the guns can just click into the back, which is nice, just in case you only want to display him carrying one. And yeah, both of the guns they're not the same mold or anything, but I think the kind of molding process was the same, considering clear plastic tab here and here, white handles, and then the guns are painted the same color. The guns are also blast effect compatible, and the nubs of these are also clear plastic. So I'm definitely thinking maybe these were cast clear with white handles, and then they just painted over the top of it. But then this paint would have to be like awfully well applied. And I think it is, because there's no bleed onto the clear plastic tabs. So I'm not sure what's happened. Anyway, just something else this guy does before we move on to talking about accessory counts. There you go. Spring-loaded mechanism for the Matrix chamber. This is a nice callback to the movie. Magnus did have the Matrix for a little bit. Yeah, we all know how that went. If you've watched it, he kind of wasn't the leader for too long, but whatever, It's a thing he did, it's a thing we have, and it's lovely. And I'm going to jump cut to accessories now. Okay, so for accessories, he's got blast effects. Now, I've already showed off the guns in the Matrix, so we don't have to talk about those anymore, but these blast effects, he's got this set, which comes apart into like 4 pieces, right? 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 piece, and 4 piece. But I also have 2 more of these small ones, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to have 3 of them, but that's what my Magnus came with, so could be an error. I'm not really sure. I don't remember unboxing him. So yeah, anyway, I got this guy since he was reissued, which is another thing to point out. So even though the unboxing was very recent, I'm still not sure. I don't remember, and I've just dropped a piece. Right. Anyway, here's the other piece. You can kind of reassemble these in any order you want. You could have this wide one kind of coning off, and then just kind of throw this on the end of it. There you go. That's quite cool. This doesn't plug into the missile launcher bits, but the missiles do come out. So let's say you wanted to kind of have the missile firing off. That will tab into there, and it's like the missile's being shot out, which is really cool. Definitely something I'll praise. So yeah, generally that's really cool. And just so you could see the compatibility with the blast effects on the rifle, there you go. Kind of goes on like so. nothing too snazzy, and you can just kind of build it up however you want. But yeah, if you've got a bunch of other blast effects from other commander figures or whatever, you could just put them on this Ultra Magnus, or kind of just use them all interchangeably. Oh, you could even kind of connect a bunch of different ones of these in different colors if you really want to do something creative. But yeah, generally I'm quite happy with this guy's contents and just kind of how he looks, you know, generally aesthetics and the packing stuff, it's nice. And then we can get a very quick look at the box. This is the box he came in. Now, in terms of these Commander class boxes, I've only kept the boxes for Magnus and Optimus Prime from the 86 line. I do have Skylynx, Jetfire, and Rodimus, but I've not kept the boxes for any of them. I mean, I don't even keep the boxes for these guys for any reason other than they look really nice. And with the other ones, kind of the artwork on those was like a portrait display, whereas these are landscape, and I just kind of prefer kind of displaying them from the side, as I have them on top of my shelving unit. So yeah, anyway, nice little place to put extra boxes as well. But yeah, I'm generally really happy with this, so we're going to be moving on to articulation. Articulation for Ultra Magnus is something quite interesting. Let's just go for it, right? So he's got these really strong ratchet joints going all the way around at the shoulder. There you go. Outward shoulder movement, like so. Pulls the 90. Elbows pull like slightly more than a 90. Not sure if it counts, really. Actually, if we bring this back up. Now the gauntlet pieces on the forearms or whatever do get in the way a bit, but he does have a wrist swivel, which is cool. I'm sure you can get all the way around. Ugh, there you go. Really tight, but something to talk about. Hands open up. 2 joints, much like Optimus Prime. He does have the articulated index finger. I can't do that right now, or whatever he says. So yeah, my favorite Magnus quote will be "Damn it, open!" where he's trying to pry open the Matrix before he gets shot down. But you know, something. It's cool, you know. I'm happy with articulated hands and all that jazz. So yeah, carrying on. Waist swivel, beautiful stuff. This is really cool considering the fact that he does kind of come into 2 sections for the vehicle mode. Just kind of having all this extra engineering is really nice. It makes you forget that he has actually 2 components for a vehicle. He's actually the white cab and then the rest of the car carrier. So yeah, legs don't kick up too far, but you know, you can't beat yourself up over it. If we move forward this skirt piece, legs go slightly higher. It's kind of 90 degrees or so. Legs kick back and move this plate at the back. There you go. About the same amount back, which is nice. Then swivel at the thigh. There you go. Pretty nice stuff. Knees. Pull a 90. Ankles go out that much. There's no other movement in the ankles. Any other movement here on the lower part of the leg is this ratchet joint here, which is for transformation. So it's not going to be useful really when posing him. And then for the head, we have a good amount of like loads of range backwards, tiny bit of range forwards. Goes all the way around our ball joint. And yeah, he can swing side to side as well. There you go, confused dog. And then yeah, he kind of has butterflies if we untransform him slightly. It's the very last thing to cover. As you can see, you remove these red sections. Now here's a butterfly that goes forwards. I can't say it's too useful. And this whole section accordions outwards. It's for the transformation. It doesn't hold together like at all. These tabs just don't tab in. So, you know, something to talk about. I mean, hell, better yet, something to complain about, because I don't actually have too many complaints with this figure. You know, spoiler alert, I think he's good. And better yet, I do think he's one of the, let's say, better value Commander class figures. You know, I don't think an awful lot of Jetfire or Skyfire, whatever you want to call him. I think he's boring. The engineering on him is incredibly straightforward. He does a really cool thing with the hands, but yeah, you know, he was almost the same price as Magnus, so yeah, I don't know if I could stand behind it, even though he's huge. Skylinks felt worth it to me, but that's because I really enjoyed the quirky design and kind of how that figure was engineered. I really like this Magnus. Optimus, he has his issues. Rodimus, I like more than the average person. Yeah, we'll get to him eventually. You know, that will be coming up soon, sometime in August. You know, I do want to kind of make it a priority to get some of my more desirable reviews out there, you know. But yeah, anyway. Now, moving on to the size comparison for robot mode. So, for the robot mode size comparison, here we have Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus. This was a leader class released around 2014-2015 time. It's a fairly different, you know, it's based off the IDW design and he comes with his hammer. But here's the thing. This was like 40-45 pounds when it came out. Magnus, by comparison, is double the price. And yeah, they're almost the same size. Magnus has a really this old Magnus has a really well engineered transformation. This new Magnus has a much more difficult and somewhat well engineered transformation. So, you know, take from that what you will. And another thing with this guy that I want to talk about by comparison is transforming this does kind of require you to detach this cab because it doesn't like staying on anyway. Whereas this, it's an all-in-one, you know. But, you know, whatever. Complaints for another time. We'll eventually get to reviewing Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus as well. Then, for the next part, the size comparison, Ralph, Dave, Trail Cutter. Just kind of bring the camera down a little bit. There you go. They're tiny by comparison. Just one other figure I've been messing around with. Here's Core Class Wheelie from the 86 line. As you can see, we'll just bring this down slightly more. Tiny by comparison to both of them. I don't have much to add besides the fact that both are fairly big. Commander Class one though, which is our point of discussion. He's really cool. You know, he scales well with most things, I think. I don't have any gripes with him towering over the average bot, considering he was ginormous, at least comparative to the average bot. And yeah, let's just move on to the transformation. And so for Ultra Magnus's vehicle mode, we have this lovely, ginormous car carrier. I've just realized I missed something out under transformation, so I'll fix that now. What you want to do, you want to take this waist piece, fold it inwards, take these panels, fold them over, they'll click into place, and that will complete the bed, this kind of carrier. So there you go. You know, the transformation process to get here is it's not as annoying as it looks on camera. It's generally very straightforward. You just have to remember to fold out some panels on the arms for kind of these gaps on either side to be filled in, and these front sections, you know, these aren't going to go properly together and you know, do their thing. If these white pieces, I mean, this whole panel, right, the sections on the front of here need folding out. I'm a bit annoyed that like the plastic doesn't hold straight. It definitely bothers me, but you know, whatever. There you go. So moving on. Generally the conversion's not that bad, but we're just going to move straight onto a size comparison because I've not got an awful lot to add about this. It looks nice. It doesn't roll that well. Like the back wheels don't want to roll that much. The pins aren't the loosest, so it's a bit tight still. Now, something this does, the main purpose of this, you can get vehicles onto the back. Now, your general deluxe class figure, Hot Rod, he's a bit of an exception. Even though he's kind of deluxe size, he does not fit due to the spoiler. If you want him in here, you've got to put him in through the side, which kind of defeats the purpose of, you know, the whole push him through the back part. Bumblebee, however, you know, he goes right on in. Now, with both of them in there, just maneuver Rodimus a little bit, or Hot Rod, and there you go. They fit in perfectly fine. United Chase, he can sit on the top perfectly fine, you know, because that's how car carriers work. And as you can see, Magnus is still way bigger than all of these guys in vehicle mode. And I'm very happy with that. You know, it's taken a while for us to get a new Ultra Magnus that could do the whole car carrier thing. Siege version could not. By extension, the Kingdom Retool and the Netflix versions could not. So yeah, there you go. That's something to talk about. And just for the standard size comparison stuff, Trucker, Ralph, Steve. But yeah, I'm very happy with this. Beautiful vehicle mode. The conversion, again, it's not that bad. It was just incredibly difficult to get on camera. With my setup and stuff with the tripod, just this is awfully big, right? Just maneuvering it around, and you know, apologies if it was a bit messy, but I'm going to keep the footage in because I didn't want to break my pattern of having transformations actually within the video, you know. I didn't want to do a jump cut from robot mode to this mode and then have people ask me, oh, where is it? And then I'd have to explain. Yeah, it was annoying to do. So I'm going to leave it in. Hopefully it doesn't look too bad. And yeah, let's just move on to final thoughts. Editor Ricky here, right before we move on to the final thoughts section. I just realized I hadn't gotten any footage of both Combiner Wars Magnus and the Studio Series 1 together, so here we are. Yeah, I've got to say now, the Combiner Wars figure was never perfect, but I've always really enjoyed it. Only managed to get it at TF Nation last year. But yeah, man, this is actually brilliant, you know. I already really like this one. It's a lot more toy-like, but you know, it's really cool regardless. And I've just realized I gift up by the feet. That's why it wouldn't sit straight. There you go. Anyway, so yeah, beautiful stuff. I do think the Studio Series is an absolute win by comparison. This version, however, if you can get it for a decent price, I paid, I believe, £30 for this complete. I do have Minimus Ambus. There is Minimus. Brilliant stuff. I don't want to transform him because he's a bit of a pain to kind of squish together. But yeah, he's a packing accessory with this guy because IDW and all that. This guy pilots the armor, which is what Magnus is. So yeah, cool stuff. And now we're moving on to the final thoughts. So for my final thoughts on Ultra Magnus, I don't want to say anything too blasphemous, but I definitely have this feeling that I like him more than almost every commander I've ever handled. The transformation it feels like masterpiece black magic at this point. I've flipped it back and forth about 4 times now. Minus having a bit of a mess on camera due to the fact he's so big and, there's just parts everywhere that you've got to do things with. I'm just so damn happy with Magnus overall. Even more happy so that I got the pre-order in for the reissue, and now he's here, and it's just beautiful stuff. I definitely want to give him a 5 out of 5 on aesthetics. He looks perfect in both modes. There's absolutely no complaints from me. I was very lucky to not get any paint defects or whatever between either mode, even though this guy barely has any paint at all. Wherever it is, say this silver here, brilliant stuff. Just generally no complaints about the visual look of the figure. Now, articulation on this guy is kind of it's a questionable topic because for how big he is, he's fairly articulate, but the character design doesn't allow itself to be incredibly mobile, right? He's very chunky, so things might get in the way of other things, and there's only so much you could do with ginormous shapes. But generally, I'm very happy with how this articulates. I definitely want to give it a 4 out of 5. Yeah, it's just very nice. Transformation on Ultra Magnus is a point of contention. Now, I've heard people say, oh yeah, it's bloody horrible, but I've also experienced it myself and done it enough times to go, actually, this is pretty great. It is entirely possible to transform it without disconnecting the cab section. The only issue there is just kind of getting it to stay in place, and you kind of have to fiddle around a little bit. But the transformation is not difficult, and there's some really neat tricks, like the way these arms kind of unpanel from the chest, and then you kind of flip them round and out, kind of get a show for it here. Like this. The way all of this works is brilliant because it perfectly slots into place as well. As you can see, there's a cutout here. There you go. And it's so flush, it's unreal. It's just an incredibly smooth process for the most part. I definitely will give the transformation a 5. It's not something I'd find myself wanting to do a lot, but it's really, really fun experience once you actually figure out how it works and you kind of get all these little intricacies together and you go, damn, they kind of cooked with this one. And value for money on this guy, I want to give him a 4 out of 5 as well. Of every commander I've ever handled, being the G1 one, commanders really, I have none of the commanders outside of G1 because I don't collect things like Armada. I'm not a huge Beast Wars guy, so I don't have any of that stuff. But I've got all the G1 styled commanders: Skyfire, Optimus, Skylynx, now Magnus, and he just, compared to almost all of them, he feels so good, and just everything about him kind of makes me feel like this was worth the wait. And even though I missed out on him on the initial release due to stock being so limited in the UK, I was like, man, I've just got something that I'm incredibly pleased with. It's generally been quite a long time since I've gotten a brand new mold, at least from a modern Transformers figure, that has made me this happy to just sit down and play with. And there's absolutely no excuse why Hasbro can't maintain such a high standard of quality, you know, considering the fact that prices have went up and everything. They've just got to lock in, because if every figure was as solid and fun to mess with as Ultra Magnus, I would actually like the company. Well, maybe still not, because of the practices by their kind of CEO Chris Cox or whatever, but yeah, you know, neither here nor there. And just kind of my last aside for the value for money section before we kind of close this off. Like I showed you before, we have the 2 rifles, all the blast effects, and a giant transforming robot. That's just it, right? That is exactly how I want everything to be. I mean, they don't even have to be huge. They just have to feel worth it and be enjoyable. And this is one of those things. Would I buy this over almost every deluxe release nowadays? Yes, because modern deluxes have handled a fair few. Things like Junkions and a couple of legacy figures, which I don't want to spoil. And just deluxes aren't where it's at anymore. It's all about the cool stuff. Sadly, that really cool stuff isn't cheap. But I love Magnus. Magnus overall is a 4.5 out of 5. He's as close to perfect as I think we're going to get for an Ultra Magnus in whatever mainline now is. Now Studio Series is kind of mainline. It's weird. But anyway, this has been AnimatedCHUG. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.